Discover how a heartwarming act by a kind waitress transformed two orphans' lives 15 years later. Rain poured down in buckets, drumming against the roof of Joe's Diner, the heart of a small Midwestern town. Inside, the chatter and laughter mixed with the intoxicating aromas of pancakes and coffee. Lucy, a humble waitress with a golden smile, weaved her way through the maze of tables, pouring warm mugs and jotting down orders. She was the kind of person who could lift spirits just by being herself. But that rainy afternoon, life was about to change in ways no one expected. In the corner booth, two children sat with their heads lowered, shoulders hunched. Their names were Mia and Jamie, and at just 8 and 6, they carried a burden far too heavy for their little hearts. They had lost their parents to an economic downturn, left adrift in a world that felt cruel and heartless. Lucy, noticing their somber faces, approached them, her heart aching to lend some comfort. "Hey there, would you like something to eat?" "It's on the house," she said, her voice warm like the diner's cozy atmosphere. Tears filled Mia's eyes as she nodded, and Jamie, sensing the kindness, finally let a small smile peek through. In that moment, a flicker of hope ignited. Lucy sat with them, listening to their stories, the weight of their sadness melting just a bit in her presence. She realized that her small act of kindness had the power to spark change, to bring light to lives that felt shrouded in darkness. From that day onward, the trio formed an unusual bond, with Lucy as their guiding star, helping Mia and Jamie navigate the turbulent waters of their new reality. As years blossomed into seasons, Mia and Jamie stood together, raising each other like seedlings in a storm. They learned the value of hard work, taking part-time jobs after school and dreaming of a future beyond their small town. Their unwavering spirit encapsulated the American dream, as they cherished every tiny triumph along the way. Meanwhile, Lucy kept the diner running, her heart swelling with pride every time Mia and Jamie walked through the door, sharing their victories and dreams. Fast forward 15 years. The townsfolk entered the diner less frequently as economic hardships transformed bustling laughter into somber silence. Struggling to adapt, Lucy could feel her diner slipping away, much like the hope in her heart. On a particularly bleak afternoon, the bell above the door chimed, and Lucy looked up to see a familiar face. Mia had returned, her spirit still bright yet tinged with nostalgia. Their reunion was sweet, wrapped in warm hugs that rekindled old memories. Just then, Jamie appeared, a weight of unresolved history etched across his features. They stood in the diner, their diner where so many smiles had been shared. Yet, the looming crisis pulsed between them, a reminder of their past and present struggles. Lucy's heart raced as she contemplated their next steps together. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Mia and Jamie brought her the strength she needed to fight for salvation, but darker questions swirled in the air. Should they save the diner, or chase their own dreams? With the weight of their shared past resting heavily on their shoulders, they stood suspended between what was and what could be. The laughter that echoed around them felt like a distant memory as they prepared to face a decisive moment in their intertwined lives. How would they choose to reshape their destinies? The aroma of fresh coffee and pancakes collided with the heavy air, enveloping Lucy, Mia, and Jamie in a cocoon of memories. Lucy looked from one young adult to the other, her heart swelling with pride yet weighted by uncertainty. Those once little kids had grown up so fast, but their bond felt just as strong, forged in love and the shared fight for a better life. Mia broke the silence, her voice trembling slightly yet steady. "Lucy, I know things haven't been easy. But we've been thinking maybe we can help you." Her eyes sparkled with determination. Jamie stood beside her, his arms crossed, nodding in resolute agreement. "Yeah, we didn't come back just to remember old times. We want to do something." "What do you mean?" Lucy asked, an edge of disbelief creeping into her voice. She knew Mia and Jamie had their own lives, careers to build, dreams to chase. You've got your futures ahead of you. I can't let you sacrifice that for me. Mia reached across the table, her hand resting on Lucy's. You've done so much for us, Lucy. This diner is more than just a place, it's a part of us. We're not leaving it behind. Jamie leaned forward, his expression softening. We could do a fundraiser. Get the community together. Remind them what this place means. He glanced at the empty chairs around them and then back to Lucy. Let us get people talking again. Lucy felt a lump in her throat. They were right. The diner had been a beacon in their lives, a refuge where laughter bloomed amidst grief. But could it still be that? Could they bring it back to life? Hope flickered, but doubt flickered harder. And what if it doesn't work? What if we put everything out there? And her voice trailed off. Then we try again, Mia interjected, her fire burning bright. We owe it to ourselves to fight. Remember how we always say we've got to keep going, no matter the odds. Lucy chuckled softly, a tear escaping her eye. I can't believe how wise you both are. Jamie shrugged, hiding a smile. Got it from you. You were always the one cheering us on, Lucy. In that moment, Lucy felt something shift in her heart. Their smiles, their determination, it reminded her of the countless nights spent dreaming of possibilities over late-night coffee. The diner was not just a building. It was a living, breathing testament to their resilience. But would the town remember, as they discussed ideas with bubbling enthusiasm, the bleakness that had plagued Lucy began to lift. Excitement replaced dread, urging her to envision a lively diner once more, filled with familiar faces and hearty laughter. Let us do it, Lucy finally said, her voice gaining strength. Let us put on a fundraiser and bring this diner back to life. An electrifying energy sparked around them, a silent agreement forged in unity. Mia grinned, her face lighting up like a beacon. We'll plan everything. We can create a menu of special dishes that reflect our memories here, tell our story. And we can invite everyone, Jamie added, his eyes gleaming. Old regulars, the community, everyone who loves this place. The conversation bubbled with ideas, laughter, and shared memories, weaving a vibrant tapestry of hope. It felt good, almost magical, breathing life into a community that had begun to fade. Yet as excitement filled the air, a cloud of worry loomed. What if people had really forgotten? Amidst the bubbling spirit of planning, Lucy paused, her thoughts heavy. Would they be ready for the world out there, especially with the memories of the past that still lingered? She felt the urge to voice those concerns but hesitated. If they were to succeed, they needed to believe wholeheartedly. But what if it all fell apart? As she looked into Mia and Jamie's hopeful eyes, the question lingered in the air. Can we really bring back what we once had? The moment of truth loomed ever closer, as their dreams danced just out of reach. Inspiring dreams collided with anxious realities. Could they truly rally a community to breathe life back into the diner that had once given them hope? The next morning, Lucy's mind raced as sunlight streamed through the diner windows. The smell of pancakes wasn't just comforting, it was grounding. She had always believed in the magic of morning light and how it brought new possibilities, but today, those possibilities felt heavier, almost daunting. Do you think they'll really come? She muttered to herself as she flipped through an old album filled with faded photos of the diner's heyday. It was a treasure trove of memories, birthday parties, anniversaries, laughter mingling with the clinking of mugs. But would anyone come back? Would they feel the same warmth she remembered? Later that day, with her mind still buzzing, Mia and Jamie returned, armed with piles of flyers and ideas. They were all fired up, ready to tackle the community, and their excitement was infectious. Look at this! Mia exclaimed, her hands waving over a colorful flyer. It's catchy, right? Kind of like our diner. Lucy managed a smile, appreciating their energy. It's great, Mia. We just need to make sure it reaches everyone, both old faces and new. Jamie's brow furrowed as he tapped a pencil on the table. We could ask local businesses to help sponsor us. Offer a discount on their products if people eat here during the fundraiser. It gets them involved too. Lucy nodded appreciatively. They brainstormed, throwing around names for the event until they landed on Just Like Old Times. A name that tugged at her heart, evoking nostalgia. Suddenly, what had been a quiet diner seemed poised for a revival. Let us make a list of people we should reach out to, Mia suggested, pulling out her phone. Anyone who might remember old regulars, former employees, even if we just get a few, it would matter. Lucy felt nervous excitement bubble up within her. Okay, I'll reach out to some of the loyal patrons. They loved this place like family. She picked up her phone, scrolling through contacts she'd barely looked at in years. Each name brought a memory, each memory wrapped in warmth. She could almost hear their laughter now, echoing in the empty booths. As they started making calls, Jamie suggested they also create a social media page. You know, reach out to the younger crowd. Everyone is online these days. With a quick nod, Mia jumped on board, swiping through her phone to set it up, but Lucy hesitated. What if we don't get enough people? What if it just falls flat? And Lucy, Mia interrupted softly, you've given us so much. You taught us hope, remember? We can't control everything, but we can control what we put out there. People want a reason to come together again. Lucy gazed at her, the weight of doubt still heavy but beginning to shift. Would they really pull this off? Could time heal the past wounds and bring folks back to the diner? As they planned and plotted, laughter filled the air where silence once lingered. In moments of doubt, Lucy would glance at Mia and Jamie, their faces glowing with eagerness, and her heart filled with a flickering ember of hope. The night of the fundraiser approached quickly, excitement mingling with anxiety. Lucy felt a knot in her stomach, a dance of nerves and emotions. What if they failed? Yet, alongside that fear was something new, a sense of togetherness, the thrill of possibility. But as the day of the event loomed on the horizon, a single thought echoed louder than the rest, tapping at the edges of her confidence. What if people really had forgotten them? What if this beloved diner was just an old tale now? In the quiet before the storm of excitement, doubt flickered. With every thought racing through her mind, she wondered, were they truly ready for the world, or would the past remain hauntingly unclosed? When the door opened that first night, would anyone step inside? The day of the fundraiser dawned, bright and full of promise. Lucy arrived at the diner early, her heart thumping wildly. The smell of fresh coffee and sweet pastries wafted through the air, grounding her momentarily. She took a deep breath, trying to calm the chaos swirling within. Mia and Jamie showed up, arms laden with decorations. Look at these balloons. Mia exclaimed, her enthusiasm like a spark igniting a small fire within Lucy. Doesn't it feel like a party? Lucy forced a smile, reminding herself that this was more than a party, it was a lifeline. Let us start setting everything up, she said, trying to match their energy. As they worked, the diner slowly transformed. Streamers hung from the ceiling like colorful waterfalls, and a vibrant banner announcing Just Like Old Times stretched across the windows. Each detail brought back memories of laughter and conversations shared within those walls, memories that meant so much to her, but still, a whisper of doubt lingered in the back of her mind. With each tick of the clock, the diner felt emptier, the chairs still and waiting. What if no one came? What if their beloved space remained vacant, haunted only by echoes of the past? Just then, a familiar face appeared at the door, breaking through her worries like a ray of sunshine. Lucy, is that you? Mrs. Holloway, an old regular, stood there with a wide smile, her silver hair gleaming. Tears pricked at Lucy's eyes as she rushed forward, wrapping her arms around the woman who had celebrated birthdays and milestones in the diner. I can't believe you're still here. Mrs. Holloway exclaimed, glancing around the bustling environment. This place looks fabulous. Thank you for coming, Lucy replied, feeling a warmth spread through her. I wanted everyone to feel welcomed again. More and more familiar faces trickled in: old friends, ex-employees, and families who had shared meals and memories. Each person entered not just carrying their past but bringing a heartbeat back to the diner. Laughter filled the air, conversations flowed, and Lucy's heart swelled with gratitude. As the clock hit 6, the diner buzzed with life. Her fear ebbed away, replaced by the excitement of connection. People gathered around tables that had once separated them in solitude, forming new bonds over shared memories. Yet, just as joy punctuated the evening, a moment hung heavy. In the back corner, 2 teenage boys sat quietly, studying the chatter around them. They looked unsure, like strangers in a familiar place. Lucy watched them for a moment, sensing a distance behind their eyes. Were they lost? Alone? It dawned on her then perhaps they had come in search of something more than a meal, a family, a connection. Later in the evening, after serving plates of steaming fries and burgers, she approached their table. "Hey there. How are you enjoying the diner?" They looked surprised, almost hesitant, before one managed a small smile. "It's nice. Our mom used to bring us here when we were kids." Lucy's heart sank. She could feel a depth of longing in their words. "I know this place holds a lot of memories. It can feel like home again. Would you like to help us make it happen?" As she spoke, the boys exchanged glances, the flicker of hope lighting up their eyes. "Really?" one said, a spark igniting in his voice. "Absolutely. Everyone is welcome here," Lucy smiled back with warmth. "This diner is about family, and family means sharing love and memories." Just then, the door chimed, and in walked more patrons, ones Lucy didn't expect. People she hadn't seen in years, barely registering their presence until they filled the space with chatter and laughter. Her heart raced. Could this truly be happening? Just as Lucy leaned in to hear more from the boys, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd gathered at the counter. It pulled her attention, and she turned to see Mia standing on a chair, raising her voice over the clamor. "Everyone! Let us gather for a toast." Lucy's heart beat faster as she edged toward the gathering crowd, the energy in the room pulsing with anticipation. What awaited her in that moment? The return of the community, the spark of new relationships forged, or perhaps a deeper call to action she hadn't yet fully grasped. As glasses clinked together, laughter rising in waves around her, Lucy felt the weight of possibility swell. Could this truly be the start of something remarkable, an invitation to heal not just the diner, but all the lives intertwined within it? But then, just as a sense of optimism threatened to envelop her, the words she overheard from a worried voice flickered through the air, casting a shadow over the evening's brightness. What happens if this all falls apart again? With that question hanging in her heart, Lucy felt once again the tug of uncertainty. Could this night truly forge a new beginning, or was history destined to repeat itself? Would they remember not just a meal, but the healing power of community? She needed answers, but were they ready for the truth? The clinking of glasses and the laughter of old friends filled the diner as Lucy stepped back from the gathered crowd. Each cheer sent a wave of warmth through her, but in the pit of her stomach, doubt coiled tighter. How could she offer hope when the memories of loss clung so closely behind her? Mia's voice, full of enthusiasm, rose above the din. To the diner. A place of memories and new beginnings. The crowd echoed with cheers, their glasses raised high, yet, amidst the joyous noise, the lingering question: what if this all fell apart again? Wounded her heart. She looked toward the boys, their expressions now animated as they clinked glasses with new friends. They had come in search of connection, and for that moment, they weren't just kids remembering happier times, they were part of something bigger. Lucy paused near the counter, taking a deep breath and forcing herself to believe in the magic of the moment. That hopeful spark in the boys' eyes reminded her why she had fought so hard to keep the diner alive. It was not just about the food, but the community it fostered. She couldn't let fear dictate this night. Just as she regained her footing, the sound of the front door creaking open captured her attention. A chill swept through the room as 3 unfamiliar figures stepped in. They lingered at the entrance, scanning the diner with uncertain glances. Their presence felt heavy, as if they bore stories that had yet to unfold. Lucy, her heart racing again, watched as they hesitated. One of them, a girl with bright blue hair and a worried brow, caught her gaze. For a moment, their eyes locked. There was something in that look, a shared struggle, an unspoken question of belonging. "Hey!" Lucy called out, her voice cutting through the chatter. "Come on in. We have room for everyone." The girl hesitated, then took a tentative step forward. The two boys, who had been deep in conversation with Mia, glanced over, their curiosity piqued. Slowly, the three newcomers made their way to an empty booth, and Lucy's heart swelled. "Looks like we've got a new crowd," Mia exclaimed, beaming. "Let us welcome them." Without missing a beat, Lucy joined Mia as they moved towards the newcomers. "Hi, I'm Lucy," she said, extending her hand to the girl. "Welcome to our diner. What is your name?" "Bella," the girl replied softly, her hand shaking as she accepted the gesture. "We just moved to the area." "Perfect timing. Tonight is all about reconnecting," Lucy said, hoping to ease Bella's apparent anxiety. "What can I get you?" As they discussed orders, Lucy's attention flickered back to the boys, who were seated nearby, engaged in animated conversation. They too had shifted their focus, intrigued by the arrival of the new trio. "What brought you three here?" Jamie asked, drawing closer. "Just looking for a place that feels like home," Bella said quietly, glancing around the diner, taking in the laughter, the warmth, the very essence Lucy had fought to revive. Lucy's heart fluttered. They had only just met, but she sensed that Bella and her friends might become part of this community as the boys had earlier. It all felt destined. But then, as if the universe was testing her resolve, the diner's door creaked open again, this time revealing a familiar face, one Lucy had not seen in years. "Lucy!" The gravelly voice echoed through the diner, drawing every eye. It was Mr. Thompson, the former owner of the diner, the man who had inspired her love for cooking and serving. "I heard you were back in business." Her breath hitched. What did his return mean? Would he be a guiding light or a reminder of what could have been lost forever? The sudden tension in the air felt palpable. All eyes turned to Lucy, as if waiting for her to decipher what this meant for their new beginning. She could either let fear turn this moment sour or embrace it as part of the diner's story. Could she open her heart wide enough to understand the challenges and joys that came with rekindling old ties? As she stood there, uncertainties looming, her pulse quickened, and Lucy realized she was on the brink of something transformative, not just for herself but for every soul gathered under the neon lights of the diner. What awaited her as she stepped forward to face Mr. Thompson? Would his arrival provide the closure she never knew she needed, or would it unravel everything she had fought for? Lucy took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts in a whirlwind of emotion. Mr. Thompson, with his familiar salt and pepper hair and warm smile, seemed to bridge the gap between her past and this vibrant present. Her heart hammering in her chest, she stepped forward. "Mr. Thompson," her voice wavered slightly, laden with nostalgia and uncertainty. "It's been so long." He chuckled softly, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "It feels like just yesterday, Lucy. You were always meant to run a diner. You've brought life back to this place." The words swirled like a gentle balm, but they also stirred something deep within her, a mix of pride and trepidation. "I'm just doing my best to honor what we had." She hesitated. "Are you here to help?" His gaze softened, and for a moment, the chatter of the diner dissolved into a distant hum. "I'm here to see what you've made of it. To see how you've taken it and run with it," he said, glancing around at the bustling diner filled with laughter and connection. "It looks wonderful." Lucy managed a smile, the warmth of his approval wrapping around her like a comforting shawl. But then she recalled the bittersweet ending of their shared journey the day he walked away. Fear reared its head again. Would he try to reclaim what was once his, or worse, find fault in her revival? "Bella, these are my friends Jamie and Alex," Lucy introduced, gesturing toward the boys who had now shifted their attention toward the older man curiously. Welcome, Bella, Jamie, Alex, Mr. Thompson nodded, offering a friendly smile that broke the ice. So you've come here for a sense of home. There was a knowing look in his eyes, and Lucy felt a flicker of hope. Could he see how they felt as misfits, searching for their place? Maybe I could help with that, Mr. Thompson continued, his voice steady and firm, as a newfound confidence radiated from him. Tension lightened as Lucy's heart clenched at the thought. Help? Did that mean he wanted to stay involved? She thought of the times they had worked side by side, the laughter they shared, but also of the times they clashed. Would you want to join us? Lucy asked, a hint of vulnerability threading through her question. He raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. You sure about that? I think we all could use some guidance, she responded, finding strength in her words. It was true. There seemed to be a shift beneath the surface, a chance for community that extended beyond old grudges and past pain. Mia, sensing the shift, bounced closer. Yeah, we need someone with your experience. You can help us figure out bigger events, maybe some cooking classes. I don't know. Mr. Thompson scratched his head, a hint of hesitation creeping back in. It was as if she could see the cogs turning in his mind, wrestling with the concept of stepping into the ring again. But Bella, who had been listening quietly, added softly, it feels like home here already. I can't imagine what it would be like without you. Maybe you could show us how to make it even better. All eyes turned toward Mr. Thompson, and Lucy held her breath. Would this be the turning point they needed? Would he step into the role she had longed for him to resume? He looked around, his gaze settling on each hopeful face, the shared sense of purpose igniting something in him. All right. I'll give it a shot, he finally said, his tone lightening. But only if you promise to let me help and not cut my apron strings too soon. Relief washed over Lucy, and she felt warmth spreading from her chest to her fingertips. Maybe it wasn't just the diner that was being resurrected. As the group burst into applause and cheers, Lucy caught a glimpse of Bella's face. The girl's smile shone bright amidst uncertainty, a reflection of new beginnings, but just as the jubilant atmosphere enveloped them, the front door swung open once again, almost theatrically. This time, it was a grizzled man, with a frown etched on his face, who strode in. Lucy's stomach nodded. Is this place really back, or is it just another facade? He asked, his voice booming over the noise. The diner fell into a hush. What challenge would he bring? Would everything Lucy had built be questioned yet again? All eyes were on her, and she felt the weight of their expectations. Confidence surged within her, but so did doubt. Would she be able to reassure this newcomer while keeping the fragile peace she had just established? The diner had breathed new life, but this was just the beginning. What would come next? Lucy struggled to find her voice amidst the heavy silence. The grizzled man's question hung in the air, a taunting echo that seemed to resonate against the very walls of her diner. It wasn't just a challenge to her business, it felt like an attack on everything she had worked so hard to rebuild. She cleared her throat, her heart racing as she took a small step forward. This diner is back, Lucy declared, forcing confidence into her words. We're here to serve up good food and good company. We've come together as a family. The man's piercing eyes studied her, searching for cracks in her resolve. Family is a nice word, he replied, his voice low and skeptical. But it doesn't mean much if your kitchen is just a cover-up for failure. Lucy felt her cheeks heat with a mix of anger and hurt. She could see Mr. Thompson shifting uncomfortably beside her, the boys exchanged worried glances. But Bella, ever the brave heart, stepped in front of Lucy. You don't know us, she said, her voice small but steady. This place matters. It's helped us find our home. The man narrowed his eyes at Bella. Home. You think this makes a home? Before Lucy could intervene, her instinct kicked in. Yes, it does, she said, her voice firm. This diner means something to each of us. It's a safe space, a community filled with hope. That should count for something. His brow furrowed. Hope. What has that ever fed? Hope doesn't tea fill empty bellies? A murmur of discontent rippled through the diner. Jamie, sensing the tension rising, piped up. Look around. We have each other now. This diner is bringing us together. But can it keep you together when the hard times hit? When the bills pile up? The man pressed on, undeterred, his voice bearing the weight of experience. A silence drifted low and heavy, anxiety threading through the group. Lucy felt a pang in her heart at the thought of bills and future struggles. Did they have enough to sustain this newfound bond? Was it only a matter of time before this fragile peace crumbled? Just as doubt threatened to cast its shadow, Mr. Thompson stepped forward. I'll handle the kitchen, he said, his voice resolute. But we need to believe in each other. Not just the food we serve, but the connections we build. His words shimmered like sunlight breaking through overcast skies, rekindling the warmth that had just begun to blossom. Lucy watched the scowl slowly fade from the stranger's face, curiosity flickering in his gaze. Maybe the man hesitated, his tone shifting. Maybe there's something here. Something worth seeing. Stay, Bella urged, her young face bright with hope. You can help us. We can learn from you. They all turned to the stranger, who stood like a stone statue, torn between skepticism and intrigue. The tension in the diner thrummed as silence cloaked them, pregnant with possibility. Fine, the man muttered finally, a hint of a reluctant smile creeping onto his face. I'll stick around. But don't think I'm going to go easy on you. Applause erupted once again, this time untainted by nervousness, filled with a sense of unity. Lucy felt a wave of gratitude wash over her as they celebrated this small victory. Yet beneath her excitement lay an unsettling current of worry. Would they be able to keep their community intact in the face of challenges that lay just beyond the horizon? Then, behind the joyous faces and laugh-filled chatter, something caught Lucy's eye, a figure lingering outside the diner, uncertain and hesitant. Who were they, and what story would they bring to the mix? As she turned her focus outward, Lucy couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Challenges were looming, and not everyone would be as welcoming. Who else was out there, waiting to throw a wrench into their fragile new world? The bell above the door chimed softly, pulling Lucy's gaze back inside the diner, where the familiar warmth of voices wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. The man, still standing in the center, looked momentarily forgotten amidst the short bursts of laughter and happiness. Yet, the shadows of doubt still lingered in Lucy's heart. Who's out there, she thought, glancing through the windows where the figure stood, half hidden in the twilight. Hope mingled with unease as anticipation pulsed within her veins. Suddenly, the figure stepped into the light, a young woman with tangled hair and wide, searching eyes, looking as if she'd just come from a long journey. The diner momentarily hushed as attention shifted toward the newcomer. There was something about her, a palpable mix of vulnerability and resilience that tugged at Lucy's heart. She swallowed the lump in her throat and went to greet her. Welcome. Lucy said warmly, summoning her best smile. What can I get you? The girl hesitated, her gaze drifting over the diners that felt so alive with camaraderie. I was just passing by, she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know if I could come in. Of course you can. Lucy said, stepping aside to encourage her entrance. You're always welcome here. We're all family. Come, sit with us. The girl slowly entered and took a cautious seat at the counter, her hands fidgeting in her lap. The man who had initially challenged Lucy watched her too, a flicker of something almost protective in his eyes. The community found their rhythm again, but Lucy sensed the girl's anxiety, an undercurrent threatening to surface. What's your name? A voice called out from the back, breaking the tension. It was Jamie, ever the curious one. Lila, she replied, finally looking up. Her nervousness seemed to melt slightly under the warmth of their attention. I've been looking for a place to stay. I heard about this diner from some others in town. The room went still. Lucy exchanged a glance with Mr. Thompson, who was the first to speak up. "Well, it's not always easy to find a home, but we can help." Lucy felt her heartbeat quicken. Lila's eyes sparkled with a mix of hope and uncertainty, the mixture a delicate tapestry of dreams tinged with fear. "What do you mean?" Lila asked, catching on. Lucy stepped forward, her resolve strengthening. "You're welcome to help us here. We could always use extra hands, and in return, we can help you find your way." The man, still leaning against the counter, interjected. "Jobs aren't easy to come by, but if you're willing to work hard, we can make this place a home for you." Lila nodded, her fingers gripping the edge of the counter as she seemed to process their words. The thought of being part of something, especially after the struggle she must have faced, glimmered in her weary expression. The tide of chatter began again, now accompanied by Lila's tentative smiles. Just as Lucy felt the bubbles of joy rising, a muffled noise echoed from outside the diner, a shout, a crash. Suddenly, all eyes darted back to the door, anxiety radiating from every person. Lucy's heart sank as images tumbled through her mind, the day the diner had almost closed, the heartbreak of losing customers, the uncertainty of tomorrows. "Stay here," she whispered to Lila, before rushing to the door with the others in tow. They pushed it open, revealing the source of the noise, a group of people from town, their faces twisted with anger. "Get out of here!" one man barked, pointing straight at them. "You don't belong." In that moment, Lucy felt the air grow thin, and she knew they were at a crossroads. Would they stand together in the face of this hostility? Or would they falter just when they had begun to find their footing? The question lingered in the cold evening air, and Lucy braced herself for what was to come next. Would they rise as a true family in this moment of chaos? The yelling outside sent a tremor through the diner, slicing through the warm atmosphere like a knife. Lucy's heart raced as she stepped forward, determined to protect Lila and everyone who had come to call this place home. She squared her shoulders against the harsh wind of anger blowing through the open door. "Everyone, please stay calm," Lucy called, her voice firm despite the growing fear that twisted in her stomach. "This is our diner, and we won't let anyone take it from us. We have every right to be here." The faces of the town folk outside twisted in disdain, their shouts mingling with dismissive laughter. A feeling of solidarity filled the diner, where they were all bound by hope and resilience. Lucy glanced at Mr. Thompson, who took a step forward next to her, his arms crossed defiantly. "Hey!" he shouted, voice booming. "You've got no right to tell us who belongs here. We're a community, and we stand for each other." A man with a scruffy beard took a step closer to them, his eyes narrowing into slits. "What community? You let in strangers, people like her," he spat, jabbing a finger towards Lila. "She doesn't belong." Her heart sank once more, seeing the way Lila flinched, fragile against the weight of their judgment. But Lucy, fueled by a fierce fire, felt her compassion and determination intertwine. No one would tear this new family apart, not while she was still breathing. "Shame on you!" Lucy shouted, voice carrying across the chilly night air. "You think you can define who belongs and who doesn't? This diner welcomes everyone, just like anyone really should." She felt a swell of energy ripple through her, encouraging the others to stand with her. One by one, the regulars stepped forward, standing shoulder to shoulder with Lucy, a united front against the hostility. Jamie, with her blonde braids, raised a tiny fist and shouted, "Lila has a place here, just like all of us." The men outside hesitated, taken aback by the unexpected surge of courage surrounding the newly found community. Lucy watched as Lila's surprising smile emerged, her eyes shimmering with fresh tears. It was a moment of solidarity, a shared connection that transcended anger and fear. The whispers among the diners grew louder, each voice adding strength, amplifying courage. All around the diner, hearts beat in harmony. "What should we do?" Lila finally asked, her voice steadying as the others nodded in affirmation. "We stand together," Lucy replied, her tone softening amidst the seriousness. "No one gets to decide who deserves kindness. We are stronger than hatred. With each spoken word, Lila's confidence blossomed a little more. Then let us show them, she declared, and in that instant she felt part of something larger, undeniably anchored in the warmth of camaraderie. The men outside shifted uneasily, sensing the resolve that had echoed back. Lucy held her breath, watching the tension hang thick in the air, a quiet standoff surrounding them. Would they retreat, or would they strike back? Yet, just as the first crack of uncertainty began to shimmer in the icy air, another voice rang out from behind this one, soft yet unwavering. Stop! All heads turned toward the newcomer, who stepped forward, leading with an energy that quieted the crowd. Who was this new voice of authority? And would it shift the tides of this moment? A tall woman with striking gray hair stepped into view, her presence commanding yet calm. Dressed in a long, flowing coat, she held her head high, radiating strength as she surveyed the tense scene. I was hoping we could have a conversation without all the shouting, she said, her voice steady like a deep river. Lucy felt a spark of hope kindling in her chest. The woman looked like someone who could calm the storm. Who are you? Lucy asked, her eyes narrowed slightly as she tried to assess the woman's intentions. I'm Mayor Thompson, she replied, addressing both the diner patrons and the group of outsiders. And this isn't how we handle disputes in our town. The air crackled with anticipation as the crowd silenced, curious. The townsfolk surrounded the mayor now, the anger in their eyes starting to waver ever so slightly. No one is denying that change can be unsettling, Mayor Thompson continued, turning her gaze back to the group. But isolating others doesn't strengthen our community, it only drives wedges between us. This diner stands as a symbol of togetherness and perseverance. Lucy felt her stomach unclench, a wave of relief washing over her. She stepped forward alongside the mayor, heart racing with the weight of this moment. This diner is about embracing all of us, she said, her voice stronger now. It's a refuge whether you're a lifelong resident or someone just passing through. We can't turn people away. Slow murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some began to nod in agreement. The man who had shouted earlier looked torn, his tough exterior cracking, showing a glimpse of uncertainty beneath. Let us hear more voices, Mayor Thompson urged. Let's share how we can appreciate our diversity without shunning those who are different. One by one, patrons stepped forward, those who had crossed paths in the diner, sharing laughter and meals. Their stories of struggle, belonging, and hope painted a vibrant picture of what Lucy had aimed to cultivate. Mia took her turn, speaking passionately about her own journey, once an orphan without a family, now thriving through laughter and kindness fostered by this very diner. We all deserve a place to belong. This is how we fight the darkness together, she explained, tears glistening in her eyes. Jamie stepped beside her, adding, we are all more alike than different. We've all faced our battles and found our hope in spaces like this diner. Even Lila, once timid, raised her voice. Without kindness, I wouldn't have found a home here, she said, her determination blooming. And if we turn each other away now, how could we ever build a better community? Lucy's heart swelled, seeing the spark of unity flicker and bloom like a sunflower breaking through concrete. The group of outsiders began to whisper, and Lucy could tell they were listening, really listening. The man who had challenged them earlier softened, stepping back to examine the scene unfolding. Maybe I was wrong, he finally said, the harshness fading from his voice. But we did lose a lot back when things changed. I guess it's hard to move forward when you only see what has been lost. A profound stillness settled over the diner. They could feel the tension drop, replaced by understanding and connection, reaching across the divide. Lucy took a breath, her heart racing. This is how we heal, she proclaimed. By leaning into our fears of the past and choosing to be better, together. Mayor Thompson nodded, encouraging Lucy to continue. Will you join us? You don't have to fight alone. This diner can be a space where we share our struggles and learn together. Something shifted in the crowd. Hands began to reach out, expressions softened, and connections were formed that had once seemed impossible. Everyone deserves to feel at home, the mayor added, looking at Lila, Mia, and Jamie, but drawing all of them in. As long as we fight together, we can create a place that's welcoming for all. In this diner, we cling to hope, we embrace change, and we move forward hand in hand. With that, the diners erupted in applause, echoing Lucy's heart, full of joy and gratitude. For the first time all night, she felt excitement bubbling over the fear. Then, Lila beamed brightly, the weight she had been carrying seeming to lift. "Let us celebrate our new beginning," she suggested, her voice ringing like a bell. "A place for everyone." Lucy couldn't hold back her smile as they rallied together, laughter mingling with clinking dishes. The diner glowed with renewed spirit, drawing in all different faces, every race, every story, every dream weaving into a larger tapestry of community. In that moment, Lucy realized they had crafted something beautiful, standing right there in their small corner of the Midwestern world, woven with shared courage and compassion. As they danced forward into the future, Lucy knew it wouldn't always be easy, but in that diner, they could find strength in each other, creating bonds that turned strangers into friends. Something magical was happening at Joe's diner, and she couldn't wait to see where it all would lead. This is a new chapter, a bright dawn in heart and spirit. They could finally say they had each other. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. A single click can make a huge difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share.